The knife went in below my ribs. Not clean, not deep enough to kill, but deep enough to matter. I felt the blade scrape against something inside me, a sensation with no name. And then the man pulled it out. Warmth began spreading down my side. 3 of them, young, dumb, desperate. They'd pried open the storage unit door in the basement of our building. And I'd been stupid enough to come down and check the noise without a weapon. The one with the knife was shaking. Don't follow us. I wasn't going to follow anyone. I was too busy pressing my palm against my side and watching the blood seep between my fingers. They ran. I slid down the wall. The hallway was dim. The light above the storage unit was flickering, and the concrete floor was cold through my jeans. I pulled out my phone with my free hand and dialed Olivia. She answered on the first ring. Hey, I'm in the middle of something. Liv, I need you. I've been stabbed. Silence. Then, in the background, I heard a dog barking and a man's voice. Liam's voice, her partner, the one she'd been spending more and more time with. Is that him? Tell him I'll call back. 3 guys, I said. They broke into storage. I surprised them. They had a knife. Are you okay? I'm bleeding. I need you to come. Where are you? Basement. Our building. Can you call 911? I'm calling you. You're 2 blocks away. A pause. The dog was still barking. Liam was still talking. I could hear them discussing something. The dog. Always the dog. The thing is, Olivia said slowly, Liam's dog got out. He ran into the park. Liam's really upset. I'm helping him look. Olivia, I was stabbed. I know. I heard you. But I'm the only one who knows where the dog went. If I don't go now, he could get lost for hours. You're choosing a dog. I'm not choosing a dog. I'm helping a friend. You're a grown man. Call an ambulance. Liv. I'll call you when we find him. Hold pressure. She hung up. I looked at the phone. The screen was smeared with blood. My blood. From my hand. The call timer said 47 seconds. 47 seconds. That's how long it took her to decide that a dog mattered more than my life. I dialed 911. The paramedics found me sitting against the wall, still holding pressure, still conscious, still watching the door to the parking garage where she'd driven off 10 minutes earlier. Sir, can you hear me? Yes. Can you tell me what happened? I was stabbed. 3 guys. Storage unit. The paramedic lifted my hand and looked at the wound. She didn't flinch. She'd seen worse. You're lucky. It's below the spleen. Missed everything important. But you've lost blood. How much? Enough to need a transfusion. We'll get you to the ER. They loaded me onto a stretcher. The ride was short. The ER was busy. They stitched me up, gave me 2 units of blood, and put me in a room for observation. The whole time, I kept checking my phone. Nothing. 6 hours later, at 3 a.m. my phone buzzed. Olivia. Hey, she said. Her voice was tired but satisfied. We found him. Liam's dog. He ran all the way to the highway. Can you believe it? Some trucker picked him up and called the number on his tag. Anyway, whole thing. You okay? I lay in the hospital bed and listened to her describe the rescue of a dog she'd been dog-sitting for a man she was definitely having an emotional affair with, while I was bleeding in a hallway 3 blocks from her. I'm fine, I said. You sound funny. Are you sure? I'm sure. Okay, well, I'm exhausted. I'll see you in the morning. Love you. Love you, too. I hung up. I stared at the ceiling. I didn't sleep that night, not because of the wound, but because I was thinking. She'd asked if I was okay. She'd asked once. And when I said yes, a lie delivered flat. She'd accepted it without question. She didn't ask where I was. She didn't ask why I'd called. She didn't ask if the wound was serious. She asked if the dog was okay. The dog, not me. I closed my eyes and let the ceiling fan blur into a white disk above me. 3 years. 3 years of being the predictable one, the reliable one, the one who was always there, always available, always understanding. I'd built my entire life around being the man she could count on. And the one time I needed her to count on me, she was looking for a dog. I thought about the messages I'd seen on her phone last week when she left it unlocked on the kitchen counter. Messages to Liam. Late-night conversations. He's so predictable. I feel like I'm living with a grandfather. I told myself I was imagining things. I wasn't. The next morning, I checked myself out of the hospital. The nurse told me to take it easy, to change the bandages, to come back if I saw signs of infection. I nodded. I took the paperwork. I called a cab, but I didn't go home. I went to a truck rental place, because by the time Olivia Hart walked through our front door, I was going to be gone, and so was everything else. The truck was a 14-footer with a dented panel and the smell of old cardboard. I drove it to our building at 7 a.m. when I knew Olivia would be at the precinct for the morning briefing. I timed it. She left at 6:30 every day. She never came back before noon. I had 4.5 hours. I started with the bedroom. Her jewelry went first. The necklace her grandmother left her. The earrings I bought for our second anniversary. The watch her father gave her when she made detective. Every piece went into a Ziploc bag, cataloged in my head, destined for a pawn shop in a different neighborhood. The clothes went next. All of them. Her work suits, her casual dresses, her shoes. She had 47 pairs of shoes. I packed them methodically. No anger, just efficiency. The furniture was harder. The bed frame came apart in sections. The dresser had to be emptied and carried down 3 flights of stairs. But I'd hired 2 movers from Craigslist. Cash, no questions asked. And they earned every dollar. By 9 a.m. the bedroom was empty. I moved to the living room, the couch, the coffee table, the TV, the bookshelf. I'd built that bookshelf with my own hands, and I dismantled it with the same tools. The rug, the lamps, the photo frames. I took the photos out of the frames, stacked them in a manila envelope, and left the envelope on the kitchen counter. I wanted her to have the memories, just not the frames. The kitchen took an hour. Dishes, glasses, the expensive knife set her mother bought us, the coffee maker, the toaster, the pots and pans. I even took the dish soap and the sponge holder. By 11 a.m. the apartment was a shell. For walls, carpet, ceiling lights, and a single sheet of paper on the kitchen counter. I found Liam's dog in the bathroom. He was a golden retriever, maybe 2 years old, with a red collar and a tag that said, Rusty, in block letters. He wagged his tail when I opened the door. He had no idea what was happening. I clipped a leash to his collar and led him to the truck. He jumped in willingly. Good dog. I drove to a storage facility I'd rented 2 days ago. Before the stabbing, before the hospital, before the betrayal, I'd had a feeling, premonition, a suspicion I didn't want to confirm. I confirmed it. I unloaded everything into the storage unit. The movers helped. They asked no questions. I paid them double and sent them home. Then I sat on a plastic chair in the middle of an empty storage unit, surrounded by the physical remains of a 3-year relationship. And I opened my laptop. I'd never told Olivia the full extent of what I did before I met her. She knew I was a private investigator. She knew I ran background checks, did surveillance work, helped lawyers find witnesses. She didn't know I'd spent 6 years in military intelligence specializing in digital forensics. She didn't know I could access more data in an hour than most cops could find in a week. She'd never asked. I opened her phone records. Took me 10 minutes to pull them. Her carrier had weak security, and I still had her account number saved from when I'd set up autopay for her last year. 3 months of call logs, 2 months of text message headers. I couldn't get the content without a warrant, but I didn't need it. The patterns were enough. She called Liam an average of 7 times per day. Most were during work hours. Some were at night, 11 p.m. midnight. 2 a.m. texts to him outnumbered texts to me 6 to 1. I checked her calendar through the sync I'd set up on her phone, a tracker app I'd installed for her safety after a case had gone bad. She'd forgotten I had access. Dinner reservations, late work drinks, a hotel booking in her name, 2 nights, same room, same month. I closed the laptop. I didn't need to see more. That night, I checked into a motel on the outskirts of town. Same chain, same stained carpet, same thin walls. I fed the dog. I walked him. I bought him a bed from a pet store down the street. Then I sat on the edge of my motel bed and waited. At 8 p.m. my phone rang. Olivia. I let it ring 7 times before I answered. Jack. Hey, where are you? I came home and everything's gone. I know. Did someone break in? Was it those guys from last night? Are you okay? I'm fine. Where's the furniture? Where's everything? I took it. Silence. Long. The kind of silence where a person is running through possibilities, rejecting each one, searching for a version of reality that makes sense. Because I had time. Jack, this isn't funny. I'm standing in an empty apartment. My grandmother's necklace is gone. You chose a dog. Live. You looked at 3 years together. You looked at me bleeding on the floor of a hallway. And you chose a dog. That's not. I was helping Liam. You were helping a man you've been sleeping with for 3 months. The silence this time was different. It was the silence of a trap closing. I haven't been sleeping with. Hotel Grand on Meridian. Room 214. Twice in the last month. I have the receipts. How do you have? I'm a private investigator. Live. You knew that when you met me. The line crackled. I could hear her breathing. Fast. Shallow. The way she breathed when she was trying not to cry. Jack, please, just come home. We can talk about this. I can't come home. Live. You took that option away the night you chose a dog over my life. Where's Rusty? He's safe. He's with someone who actually gives a damn about him. He's not your dog, Jack. He's not Liam's dog. Either. I checked. He belongs to a family 3 blocks over who've been looking for him for 2 weeks. Liam stole him. Silence. I'll drop him off at the address on his tag tomorrow. Paid a visit to animal control today over the phone. The family filed a report. It's all public record. Live. You can pick him up from them in the morning. Tell Liam his dognapping hobby is about to become a police report. I hung up. I sat in the dark motel room with a stolen dog sleeping at my feet. And I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No closure. No anger. Just the quiet certainty of a man who'd finally stopped pretending. She chose a dog. And I chose to take everything else. I spent the rest of that day emptying the apartment. The movers came back at noon. 2 men in their 30s who'd answered my Craigslist ad within an hour. They were good workers. Silent and efficient. Uninterested in the story behind the empty walls. I paid them in cash. Double what we'd agreed. And they didn't ask questions. They just loaded box after box onto the truck and drove away. The apartment was bare by 3 o'clock. I stood in the middle of the living room and looked around. The carpet was stained darker where the couch had been. The walls were lighter where the photo frames had hung. Rectangles of brighter paint marking the absence of our life together. The kitchen counters were clean. I'd wiped them down before I left. I don't know why. Habit. Maybe. Or maybe I wanted her to see how thorough I'd been. It looked like nobody had ever lived here. I left a single sheet of paper on the kitchen counter. 2 words, printed in block letters with a permanent marker. Find him. Then I locked the front door for the last time. Walked down the 3 flights of stairs I'd climbed every day for 3 years. And dropped the keys in the landlord's mailbox with a note. Jack Mercer has vacated. Security deposit goes to the family whose dog Liam Croft stole. They'll contact you. Asterisk, the storage unit was on the other side of town. A 20-minute drive through traffic I no longer had to sit in. I unloaded everything myself. The movers had helped me pack. But the sorting was mine alone. Took 4 hours. Working in the dim light of a storage unit with a flickering bulb. The dog, Rusty, though I'd started calling him Lucky in my head, sat in the passenger seat of the truck and watched me work through the open door. He didn't bark. He didn't whine. He just watched, head tilted, tail wagging. Whenever I came near, he was a good dog. It wasn't his fault he'd been stolen by a dirty cop and used as a prop in someone else's betrayal. When the unit was full, I closed the rolling metal door and padlocked it. The sound of metal on metal echoed in the concrete corridor. I kept 1 box with me. It held the evidence I'd gathered on Liam Croft over the last few days. Bank records, credit card statements, the hotel receipts from the Grand, printed copies of phone logs, a photo from a surveillance job I'd done months ago on a different case, where I'd accidentally caught Liam meeting with a known drug dealer in a parking garage at midnight. I hadn't thought much of the photo at the time. It was just a man talking to another man. Could have been anything. Now it was leverage. I put the box in the trunk of my car along with the dog and drove to a motel. The motel was called the Sunset Inn, which was optimistic for a building with a flickering neon sign and a parking lot full of rusted pickups. The room was clean enough. The sheets were white. The bathroom had soap. The lock on the door worked. That was all I needed. The bed was firm. The walls were thin. But I wasn't planning on having company. I set up my laptop on the scratched wooden desk. Lucky, Rusty, curled up on the floor beside me, his head resting on his paws, watching me work. The first thing I did was check Olivia's social media. She'd posted 3 hours ago. A photo of the empty apartment. Just the walls, the carpet, the bare kitchen counter. Captioned, * someone explain. * the comments were piling up. Friends asking what happened. Her mother commenting, what, in all caps. A few people tagging Liam, asking if he knew anything. A former colleague from the precinct asking if everything was okay. None of them mentioned me. None of them asked if I was okay. None of them said, "Where's Jack?" Or, "Is Jack all right?" I scrolled through the entire thread. Nothing. That told me everything I needed to know. I opened a new browser window and started building a timeline. Liam Croft, 34 years old, 6 years on the force, 2 commendations, 3 complaints, 1 suspension, gambling debts that stretched back to his academy days, a history of borrowing money from partners, money that was never paid back. And Olivia, Detective Olivia Hart, his partner for 18 months, the woman I'd loved for 3 years. She'd been covering for him, vouching for him, defending him. The question was, how much did she know? I found the answer in her credit card statements, which I'd pulled through a shared account we still had. Charges at casinos, multiple charges spread across 3 states, Atlantic City, Reno, a small card room in Pennsylvania. All on weekends she told me she was working late, or at a conference, or helping Liam with a case. She wasn't at conferences. She was at card tables, watching Liam lose money she'd fronted him. Money she'd never see again. I closed the laptop. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even surprised. I was just tired. 3 years I'd given her. 3 years of my life. I'd loved her. I trusted her. I'd built a home with her. And she'd spent the last 3 months covering for a dirty cop who was draining her bank account while she fell in love with him. She chose a dog over my life. But the dog wasn't the real problem. The real problem was that she'd stopped choosing me a long time ago. I just hadn't noticed. That night, I walked Lucky around the motel parking lot. He sniffed every crack in the asphalt, every weed growing through the pavement, every discarded cigarette butt. He was a happy dog. He didn't know his owner was a thief. He didn't know he'd been stolen and reclaimed. He just knew he had a full belly and a man holding his leash. I sat on the curb and let him explore. The stars were invisible behind the city glow. Cars passed on the highway, their headlights sweeping across the parking lot every few seconds. "Live," I said to the empty parking lot. "You picked the wrong man, the wrong dog, the wrong everything." Nobody answered. I didn't expect them to. The next morning, I found Rusty's real family. It took 3 phone calls. The first was to animal control. They confirmed a golden retriever named Rusty had been reported stolen 2 weeks ago from a house on Maple Street. The second was to the owner, a woman named Helen, who started crying when I said the dog's name. The third was to the police non-emergency line, just to document that I was returning stolen property. I drove to Helen's house at noon. Lucky, Rusty, jumped out of the truck before I could open the passenger door. He ran across the lawn and into the arms of a 10-year-old girl who was crying so hard she couldn't speak. Helen tried to give me a reward. I said, "No." "Who took him?" she asked. I looked at the little girl holding her dog, laughing and crying at the same time. "Doesn't matter. He's home now." I drove back to the motel and called Olivia. She answered on the first ring. "Jack, where are you?" "The dog is home." "What?" "Rusty. Liam's dog." "He wasn't Liam's dog. He belongs to a family on Maple Street. Someone stole him 2 weeks ago. I returned him this morning." Silence. "Liam said he found him." "Liam lied. He's been doing a lot of that." "Jack, I'm not coming back." "Liv, I just wanted you to know the dog is safe. That's what you chose, right? The dog over my life. Well, the dog is with his real family now. You can tell Liam he's out of luck." I hung up. I sat in the motel room alone and waited for the guilt to come. Didn't. She chose a dog. And now the dog was gone, returned to people who actually loved it. She had nothing left to choose. The PI office I'd worked out of before Olivia was a 2-room space above a laundromat on 4th Street. The stairs creaked, the ceiling leaked when it rained, and the smell of detergent drifted up through the floorboards, mixing with the dust of old case files. I still had the key. I still had the access codes. The owner, a retired detective named Frank Delaney, had told me I could use the office whenever I needed it. He'd been my mentor for years, the man who taught me how to be a good investigator. He never asked questions. He just nodded when I walked in and went back to his crossword puzzle. I set up my equipment in the back room. A laptop, printer, a secure phone line, a filing cabinet with a lock that actually worked. It was sparse, but it was functional. I had everything I needed. Frank appeared in the doorway, coffee cup in hand. "You look like hell, Jack. Feel like it, too. Trouble. Olivia." He nodded. He didn't ask for details. He'd been married for 30 years. He knew what trouble looked like. "Desk in the back is yours for as long as you need." "Thanks, Frank." "Don't thank me. Just don't make a mess." He went back to his crossword. The first thing I did was pull Liam Croft's complete record. It wasn't hard. I had a friend at the county clerk's office, a paralegal named Diane whom I'd helped with a background check on her daughter's boyfriend. She owed me a favor. I called her, explained what I needed, and she emailed me the file within the hour. Liam Croft had been suspended twice in 6 years. The first time was for excessive force, a complaint that was quietly settled out of court. The second time was for mishandling evidence, a charge that was mysteriously dropped when the complaining witness changed their statement and stopped cooperating. Both times, he'd been paired with a female partner who vouched for him. Both times, the partner was promoted within 6 months. The pattern was clear. Liam Croft was a dirty cop with a talent for survival. He knew how to use charm and connections to stay clean. His other partners either covered for him or were promoted out of his orbit before they could cause trouble. Olivia was his latest partner. She'd been with him for 18 months. She'd vouched for him twice, and she was in love with him. I found the hotel receipts next. I'd already seen them, but I wanted to look closer. 2 bookings at the Grand Hotel, both in Olivia's name. Both on nights she'd told me she was working late or staying over at the precinct. Room 214. Same room on both dates, 2 different months. I pulled the security footage. The Grand had a system that kept footage for 90 days. I had a contact there, a night security guard I'd helped with a custody case 2 years ago. He'd gotten full custody of his daughter because of the evidence I'd found. He owed me big. He called me back within an hour. I got the files, 2 dates, for clips. "You want them? Send them." The footage showed Olivia and Liam entering the hotel at 10 p.m. on both nights. Together, close, her hand on his arm, his hand on her lower back. It showed them leaving at 6 a.m. the next morning. Same clothes from the night before. I saved the files. I watched the clips once. That was enough. That afternoon, I started building the case against Liam. It wasn't just the gambling debts. It wasn't just the stolen dog. It was the bigger picture. A pattern of corruption that went back years. A system of small crimes that added up to something much larger. The stolen pet operation was small-time, barely criminal on its own, but it revealed something important about Liam Croft. He was willing to break the law for small gains, and small corruption always escalates. I found evidence of at least 5 other stolen pets in the last year, all from the same wealthy neighborhood, all returned by a good Samaritan matching Liam's description. All collected rewards of $500 to $2,000 each. The total came to just over $6,000. For a detective making $72,000 a year, it was pocket change, but it was the principle. It was the willingness. I printed everything and put it in a folder. Then I made a call to a reporter I knew. Sarah Kim covered police corruption for the city paper. She'd been looking for a story on the department for months. "Sarah, this is Jack Mercer." "Jack." "Long time." Her voice was careful. We'd worked together before on a case involving a private security firm with ties to the police union. She knew I didn't call unless I had something. "You got something for me?" "I've got a detective who's been running a pet theft ring on the side. Gambling debts. evidence tampering, a history of complaints that disappeared, and a partner who's been covering for him. I'm listening. I told her the story. Not all of it, just the parts that were public record. The parts one could prove without revealing myself. The suspensions, the complaints, the stolen pets. What's your angle? She asked. The angle is, how does a cop with this record keep his badge? Who's his partner? Detective Olivia Hart. Your girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend. Sarah was quiet for a moment. I could hear her typing, making notes. Jack, is this personal? Everything's personal. Sarah, but the facts are the facts. I'm giving you a story. What you do with it is your business. I'll look into it. Don't wait too long. I hung up. I sat in Frank's office and stared at the wall. The pieces were in motion. Sarah would write the story. The department would investigate. The evidence would surface. Liam would be exposed. And Olivia would be exposed with him. She chose a dog over my life. Now she was going to learn what happens when the wrong dog bites back. Sarah Kim's article dropped on Thursday. It wasn't front page. It wasn't even above the fold. But it was there, in the local section, under a headline that read, Detective Under Scrutiny. Questions mount over officer with troubled past. The article was careful. It didn't name Liam directly in the first paragraph. Instead, it described a detective with 2 prior suspensions and a pattern of complaints that were quietly resolved. It mentioned the pet theft angle. Sources confirm the detective has been questioned regarding stolen pets in the Riverside neighborhood. It asked the question without answering it. How does an officer with this record keep his badge? By the 3rd paragraph, they named him Detective Liam Croft, 6-year veteran. 2 complaints settled quietly. Suspicious pattern of conduct. They mentioned his partner by name, buried in the middle of the article where people would have to read through the whole thing to find it. Detective Olivia Hart, who has been Croft's partner for 18 months, did not respond to requests for comment. I read the article twice. Sarah knew how to write. She knew how to build a narrative without making accusations. How to let the facts speak for themselves. It was good journalism. By Friday morning, the department had issued a statement. We are aware of the article and are reviewing the matter internally. By Friday afternoon, Liam was on desk duty. Olivia called me at 6 p.m. I was in the motel room eating takeout from a Chinese place down the street. The food was cold. The noodles were clumped together. But I ate it anyway because eating was something to do. You fed that story to the reporter. I don't know what you're talking about. Liam is on desk duty. The department is investigating him because of your little article. I didn't write the article. Liv. I just gave the reporter some facts. She did the rest. Facts. You ruined his career. I didn't ruin his career. He did that himself. He stole dogs. He gambled money he didn't have. He met with drug dealers in parking garages. I just made sure people knew about it. You're doing this because of the dog. I'm doing this because you chose a dog over my life. The rest is just collateral. Liam didn't do anything to you. He stole a dog. He's been running a pet theft ring for a year. He's been gambling with money you gave him. Money that should have been ours. And you've been covering for him every step of the way. Those are allegations. They're facts. I have the evidence. You want me to send it to the police chief, to the DA, to every news outlet in the city. Jack, please stop. Because it's working. She was crying. I could hear it in her voice. The same shaky breath she'd taken that night in the hallway when I was bleeding on the floor and she was asking about a dog. Come home, please. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. You broke it. I'm just making sure you see the pieces. I love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of me. The safe, predictable guy who waits at home while you go on adventures. The one who never complains, never asks questions, never demands more than you're willing to give. But I'm not that guy anymore. That guy died in a hallway. Jack, I have to go. I hung up. The food was colder now. I threw it in the trash. I sat in the dark and watched the neon sign flicker through the blinds. She said she loved me, but she didn't call an ambulance. She didn't ask if I was okay. She chose a dog. Love doesn't do that. Saturday morning, I sent Olivia a package. Inside was a single sheet of paper. The hotel receipt from the Grand. Room 214. 2 dates. Her name on the booking. I didn't include a note. I didn't need to. The receipt said everything. She called me 7 times that day. I didn't answer. She sent 13 texts. I read them all, one after another, starting with anger, moving to denial, then bargaining, then pleading. I didn't reply to any of them. The last text, sent at 2 a.m. said, "I was lonely." He was there. It wasn't supposed to happen. I looked at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. I went to sleep. I dreamed of an empty apartment and a dog that wasn't mine. When I woke up, I felt nothing. That's when I knew I was free. The internal affairs investigation started on Monday. I knew because a friend in the department, a sergeant I'd worked with on a previous case, called me that morning. They're pulling records, interviewing witnesses. Croft is panicking. What about Hart? They haven't interviewed her yet, but it's coming. She's on the list. I sat in the motel room, the morning light filtering through the blinds, and thought about my next move. The article had done its job. The department was investigating. Liam's career was teetering. Olivia's name was attached, but it wasn't enough. An article is a rumor. An investigation is a process. Neither of them had produced consequences yet. Both could still be managed, contained, brushed aside. I needed something concrete, something the department couldn't ignore. I opened the folder I'd been building on Liam Croft, the gambling records, the pet theft documentation, the hotel receipts, the complaints. There was one piece I hadn't used yet, a piece I'd been saving for the right moment. A photo. 6 months ago, I'd been doing surveillance on a drug case for a lawyer in the next town over. I'd camped out in a parking garage for 3 nights, waiting for a subject who never showed. On the second night, I caught something else entirely. Liam Croft, meeting with a known dealer in the same parking garage at midnight. The dealer was Marcus Dove, 3-time felon, convicted trafficker, the kind of person a police detective should not be meeting in a parking garage after dark. I'd taken the photo almost without thinking, a reflex from years of surveillance work. A man shaking hands with another man in the dim light of a parking structure. Could have been anything, but it wasn't anything. It was evidence. I'd saved the photo. I'd never used it, never even mentioned it. I'd filed it away in the back of my mind, not knowing if it would ever matter. Now was the time. I printed a copy and sent it to Sarah Kim with a note. This was taken 6 months ago in the parking garage on 4th and Main. The other man is Marcus Dove. Croft was never questioned about this meeting. Follow the thread. Sarah called me within the hour. "Jack, where did you get this photo?" "Surveillance job. Different case. Croft was incidental." "Jack, this changes everything. If Croft was meeting with Dove, a known trafficker, the DA is going to have to open a criminal investigation. This isn't just internal anymore. That's the idea. He could be indicted." "Yes, Jack. You know this is going to destroy Olivia." "I know. Are you sure?" "She chose a dog over my life." "Sarah, I've never been more sure of anything." The photo ran on Tuesday. This time it was front page. Detective photographed with known drug trafficker. Questions mount over relationship. The article was brutal. It laid out the full timeline, the complaints, the suspensions, the stolen pets, and now the meeting with Marcus Dove. It mentioned Olivia as his partner and the person who'd vouched for him. It asked the question that would echo through the department for weeks. How many other officers knew what Croft was doing? And how many chose to look the other way? By Wednesday, Liam was suspended without pay. By Thursday, the DA's office had opened a criminal investigation. By Friday, Olivia was called in for questioning. She called me that night. Her voice was shaking. "They're asking me about Liam. They think I knew about the dealer meeting." "Did you?" "No. I knew he had debts. He told me he had gambling problems. I didn't know about the dealer. But you covered for him on the complaints. On the evidence issue, you vouched for him to IA. I was his partner. That's what partners do. Partners don't sleep together." Silence. "I have the hotel footage. Liv. I watched you walk into room 214 with him. Twice. I have the security tapes. I have the receipts. I have everything." She didn't answer. I could hear her breathing, quick and shallow. You're trying to destroy me. I'm trying to make you understand. You had a choice every step of the way. You chose him. You chose the dog over my life. You chose to lie. You chose to cover. And every choice led you here. Jack, you made her choices. Now you get to live with them. I'm done. I hung up. I sat in the dark motel room and thought about the woman I'd loved for 3 years. She was about to lose everything, her career, her reputation, the man she'd chosen over me, and I didn't feel a thing. That's the part they don't tell you about revenge. It doesn't make you happy. It doesn't fill the empty space. It just closes the door. And sometimes that's enough. Sarah Kim's second article ran on a Thursday. This time it was the lead story. Investigation expands. Detective Croft's partner questioned. Hotel records surface. The article didn't name Olivia as a subject of the investigation directly. It didn't have to. The implication was clear in every sentence. The partner who vouched for a dirty cop, who shared a hotel room with him, whose credit card appeared on casino statements in his name. The words, close working relationship, appeared 4 times. Sarah was good. She knew how to write between the lines. By Friday morning, Olivia had been placed on administrative leave. She called me at noon. Her voice was flat, mechanical, like she was reading from a script. They took my badge. I heard they're saying I knew about the gambling, that I covered for him. They're asking about the hotel, about the money. Did you? I thought I was helping him. He had a problem, a real problem. He asked me to keep it quiet. He said he'd get help. He said if it came out, his career was over. That's the definition of covering for him. I was trying to be a good partner. You were trying to be a good girlfriend. There's a difference. And you failed at both. Jack, please, I need you to call the reporter. Tell her I didn't know about the dealer. Tell her the hotel was innocent. I can't do that. Why not? Because I'm the one who gave her the information. Silence. Long enough that I checked to see if the call had dropped. You're the source. I'm the source. You're the one who put my face in the newspaper, who made me look like a corrupt cop. I made you look like what you are. The truth isn't my fault. I could lose my job, my pension, everything I've worked for. You should have thought about that before you chose a dog over my life. That was one night. It was every night. Every night you spent with him instead of me. Every secret you kept. Every time you chose him over me. The dog was just the night I finally saw it. I hate you. Good. That's honest. That's more honest than you've been in 3 years. I hung up. I sat in the motel room and stared at my phone. She said she hated me. I believed her. And I didn't care. The department opened a full investigation into Olivia's conduct the following week. She was interviewed 4 times by Internal Affairs. Her bank records were subpoenaed. Her phone logs were reviewed. Every detail of her relationship with Liam Croft was laid out in a series of increasingly uncomfortable meetings. Every text message, every late-night call, every shift they'd worked together. Liam was arrested on a Monday. The charges were evidence tampering, gambling-related misconduct, petty theft, and association with known criminals. The DA added a charge of pet theft when the Riverside family filed a formal complaint. His bail was set at $50,000. His lawyer posted it within hours. But the damage was done. His career was over. His reputation was ash. And every name connected to him, including Olivia's, was now part of the public record. Sarah Kim followed up with a 3rd article, The Ripple Effect, How One Detective's Downfall is Reshaping the Department. Olivia's name appeared 4 times. I read the article in the motel room. Lucky was long gone, returned to the family who actually loved him. The room was quiet. The only sound was the hum of the air conditioner and the occasional car passing on the highway. I thought about calling her. I didn't. Instead, I closed the laptop and went for a walk. The streets were the same as they'd always been. The same buildings, the same people, the same noise. But I was different. I was free. And freedom, I was learning, is just the absence of a reason to stay. The family whose dog I'd returned called me on a Tuesday. It was Helen, the mother. Her voice was different from the first time we'd spoken. Less desperate, more measured. The gratitude was still there, but it was edged with something else. Purpose. Mr. Mercer. Yes, this is Helen Park. Rusty's. The golden retriever you returned to us. I remember. I know this is strange, calling you out of the blue, but I wanted to thank you again. My daughter, Lily, she hasn't stopped talking about you. She drew a picture of you and Rusty and hung it on the refrigerator. She doesn't need to thank me. I was just doing the right thing. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. My husband is a retired attorney. He heard about your situation, about the detective who took Rusty, about the police investigation. He wants to help. I appreciate the offer, but I don't need a lawyer. Not for you. For a complaint. A complaint against the officer who stole our dog and the department that employed him. My husband thinks we have grounds for a civil suit. I sat up straighter. A civil suit. Harassment. Negligence. Emotional distress. He's been working on the paperwork all week. He wants to name the officer and the department. I didn't ask for this. I know, but we feel like we owe you. You brought our daughter's best friend home. The least we can do is make sure the people who took him face real consequences. I thought about it. A civil suit would mean depositions, discovery, public records. It would drag the whole story into the open. The stolen dog, the cover-up, the affair, the night I was stabbed. It would keep the pressure on for months. I'll take your husband's number. The lawyer's name was David Park. He'd spent 30 years as a litigation attorney before retiring to spend more time with his grandchildren. He had a deep voice and the calm, measured cadence of someone who'd spent decades in courtrooms. He listened to the entire story without interrupting. The stabbing, the phone call, the dog, the affair, the investigation. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. The complaint will name Croft as the primary defendant. He said finally, but it will also name the department for negligent supervision. And it will reference Hart as a witness to the theft. She's more than a witness. She was involved. She helped him cover it up. Can you prove that? I have hotel receipts, phone logs showing communications between them. I have a witness statement from myself describing the night I was stabbed. That's enough for discovery. We'll subpoena her records, her testimony. She'll have to explain her relationship with Croft under oath. She'll have to explain why she didn't report the stolen dog. Do it. The lawsuit was filed on a Monday. Park versus Croft. City Police Department. And does 1 to 10. The press picked it up within hours. Sarah Kim wrote the follow-up before lunch. Dog theft victim sues detective. City. They took our family member. Olivia's name appeared in the article as a detective who was Croft's partner and was under investigation for her role in covering his conduct. She called me that night. Her voice was ragged. A lawsuit. You're suing me now. I'm not suing anyone. The family is suing Croft. You're just a name in the documents. This is going to destroy me. Everything. My reputation. My future. Any chance I had of working in law enforcement again. You destroyed yourself. Live. I just handed the family a shovel. I can't believe you. I can't believe you chose a dog over my life. We're even. She hung up. I sat in the dark room and looked at my phone. The lawsuit was a good move. It would keep pressure on the department. It would force Olivia to testify. It would make everything public. The stolen dog, the affair, the cover-up. But it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about making sure Liam Croft never wore a badge again, and making sure Olivia Hart never forgot what she'd chosen. She chose a dog over my life. Now the dog's real family was choosing justice. Olivia resigned on a Wednesday. The department gave her a choice: resign or be terminated. The IA investigation had concluded that she'd violated department policy in her handling of Liam Croft's conduct. They didn't recommend criminal charges. There wasn't enough evidence to prove she'd known about the drug dealer meeting. But they made it clear she couldn't stay. She took the resignation. I found out from Sarah Kim. She emailed me a link to the department's press release before it went public. Officer Hart resigns amid misconduct investigation. No mention of the dog. No mention of the hotel. Just a clean, professional announcement that cut ties between a troubled officer and the department that had employed her. I read it 3 times. Then I closed the browser. She called me that afternoon. I resigned. I heard. My career is over. Your career as a cop is over. You can still do other things. Like what? Her voice cracked. I've been a detective my whole adult life. I don't know how to do anything else. You're smart. You'll figure it out. Jack, is this what you wanted? Did I want you to lose your job? No. Did I want you to understand what you threw away? Yes, I understand. Do you? I understand that I made a terrible choice. I understand that I hurt you. I understand that I can't take it back. That's a good start. But it doesn't change anything. No, it doesn't. What do I do now? You figure it out. Without me. Without the badge. Without the excuses. Can we at least? No. One conversation. In person. There's nothing left to say. There's everything left to say. I never got to explain. I never got to tell you why. You had 3 years to tell me why. You spent them lying to me instead. I know. Then there's nothing left. She was crying. I could hear it in her voice. The same sound I'd heard in the hallway when I was bleeding and she was talking about a dog. I'm sorry, Jack. I know you are. I hung up. I sat in the dark room and thought about the woman who'd been my whole world for 3 years. She was gone now. Not dead. Just someone else. Someone I used to know. I'd spent the last month dismantling her life. And now that it was done, I felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not guilt. Not relief. Just the quiet emptiness of a room after the furniture's been taken out. I went to sleep. I didn't dream about her. I dreamed about a hallway with no doors. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I was moving forward. Olivia found me at the motel. I don't know how she found me. I've been careful. Paid in cash. Used a burner phone. Never stayed in one place long enough to leave a trail. But she was a detective. Even a former one. And old habits die hard. She knocked on the door at 8 p.m. I opened it. She was standing in the parking lot. Hands in her jacket pockets. No uniform. No badge. No gun. Just a woman in civilian clothes. Looking smaller than I remembered. The fluorescent lights of the motel sign cast shadows across her face. Can I come in? I stepped aside. She walked into the room and looked around. The sparse furniture. A bed. A desk. A chair. The laptop on the scratched wooden surface. The single plate in the sink. The empty coffee cup. This is where you've been living. It's temporary. It looks like a prison cell. It's quiet. I like it. She sat on the edge of the bed. I stayed standing. My back against the wall. Why did you come? Live. I needed to see you one last time. You've seen me. I need to say something. Say it. She took a breath. The kind you take before jumping off something high. I was wrong about everything. I was wrong to choose Liam over you. I was wrong to lie. I was wrong to think I could have both of you and never face consequences. I was wrong to take you for granted. I was wrong to let you bleed on a floor while I chased a dog that wasn't even his. That's a lot of wrong. It's everything I've been thinking about for the last month. Every night, every morning, every time I close my eyes. And I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to come back. I just wanted you to know, that I finally understand what I did. Okay, that's it. Okay, what do you want me to say? Live, that it's fine. It's not fine. You left me to die. You had an affair. You covered for a dirty cop. You lied to me for months. Okay is the best I can do. She nodded. Her eyes were wet, but she didn't cry. She'd probably done enough of that already. What are you going to do now? She asked. Move. Start over. Forget this city exists. Can I write to you? No. Can I? No. She stood up. She looked at me one last time. Her eyes searching for something I didn't have to give. I really did love you, Jack, for a while, before I forgot how. I know. She walked to the door. She paused with her hand on the handle. The dog. Is he? Okay. He's home with his real family. The little girl who owns him. She cried when she saw him. He's fine. Good. That's good. She left. I locked the door behind her. I sat on the bed and listened to her car start. Pull away. Fade into the night. She chose a dog over my life. And in the end, the dog was the only thing that turned out okay. Liam Croft was convicted in April. The charges were evidence tampering, gambling-related misconduct, petty theft, and filing a false police report. The judge gave him 2 years suspended, 5 years probation, and a fine of $15,000. He lost his pension. He lost his badge. He lost everything he'd built over 6 years of wearing the uniform. The civil suit was settled out of court. The family got a payout, enough to cover Rusty's vet bills and a new fence for the backyard. The department issued a public apology. Liam wrote a letter of acknowledgement, but he never read it in court. His lawyer read it for him. Olivia wasn't charged, but her name was in every article, every report, every official document that mentioned the case. She'd never work in law enforcement again. I followed the news from my new city. It felt like watching a movie about someone I used to know. The names were familiar, the places were familiar, but the emotions had been drained out of it. I watched the coverage like a stranger. Olivia sent me one last message in May. It was a text from an unknown number. I almost didn't open it. Jack, it's Liv. I got a new number. I'm not writing to ask for anything. I just wanted you to know I'm in therapy. I'm working a desk job at a law firm doing administrative work. It's boring and I hate it, but it's honest. I'm trying to be better. I know you don't care, but I care. And I wanted to say it one more time. I'm sorry. For the dog. For Liam. For everything. I hope you're okay. I read it. I put the phone down. I didn't reply. I thought about saying something. A single word. An acknowledgement. A sign that I'd received the message and processed it. But the truth was I didn't owe her anything. Not a reply. Not forgiveness. Not even acknowledgement. She'd made her choices. I'd made mine. The silence was my answer. That night, I walked past a pet store. A golden retriever puppy was in the window, sitting on a pile of blue bedding. His head tilted as he watched the street. People walked past without seeing him. Couples, families, singles with headphones and destinations. I kept walking. Then I stopped. I turned around. I went inside. 20 minutes later, I walked out with a puppy. He was small, barely 8 weeks old, clumsy in the way all puppies are, his paws too big for his body, his ears flopping as he tried to figure out which direction was forward. He tripped over his own feet on the way to the car. I named him Lucky, not because of the old dog, the one I'd returned to its real family, but because I was lucky to be alive, lucky to have a second chance, lucky to be standing in a new city with a new life and a dog that didn't know anything about the past. Lucky didn't know about Olivia. He didn't know about the hallway or the knife or the blood or the hospital. He didn't know about Liam or the hotel or the lawsuit. He just knew I was holding him. And for now, that was enough. 6 months after I left the city, I opened my own office. It's small, 2 rooms above a bakery on a street that doesn't see much traffic. The stairs creak when you walk up them. The windows don't close all the way, so winter drafts slip through the cracks. But the rent is cheap. The landlord doesn't ask questions. And the smell of fresh bread in the morning makes up for every draft. I do PI work, background checks for small businesses, missing persons cases for families who can't afford the big agencies, insurance investigations for a local firm that trusts me enough to send regular work. Nothing exciting, nothing dangerous, just honest work for honest pay. The sign on the door says, Mercer Investigations, in simple black lettering. No slogan, no promises, just my name. People find me. They sit in the chair across from my desk and tell me their problems. I listen. I take notes. I solve what I can. I send a bill. I go home. It's a good life. Lucky is a year old now. He's not a puppy anymore. He's a full-grown golden retriever with a permanent smile, a tail that never stops wagging, and an inexplicable talent for stealing socks out of the laundry basket. He sleeps at the foot of my bed every night, curled into a golden circle, snoring softly. He greets me at the door every time I come home, his whole body wiggling with joy, like he can't believe I've returned even though I leave for an hour at a time. He doesn't know anything about the past. He doesn't care about the hallway or the knife or the blood. He doesn't know about Olivia or Liam or the night I almost died. He just knows I'm his person. I think that's the closest thing to unconditional trust I've ever experienced. I got a new case today. A woman whose husband disappeared. No warning, no note, no explanation, just an empty closet and a lot of questions. She sat in my office and told me the story. They'd been married for 12 years. He was an accountant. He coached their son's baseball team. He mowed the lawn every Saturday. He seemed happy. Then one morning he didn't come home from work. His car was still in the parking lot. His wallet was still in his desk. His phone was still on the charger. She had no idea where he'd gone. I listened. I took notes. I asked the right questions. At the end she said, "Do you think you can find him?" I looked at her. She was scared. She was hopeful. She was still in the phase where she thought the truth would set her free. I thought about Olivia, about the hallway, about the phone call that never came, about the months I'd spent looking for answers that only hurt when I found them. "I can find him," I said. "The question is whether you're ready for what I find." She nodded. "Let's start." I opened my notebook. The work began. Some people think revenge is about hate. It's not. It's about taking your life back and realizing it was never theirs to begin with. It's about turning around and walking forward when everything in you wants to look back. The hallway is still there somewhere, in a building I'll never see again. The blood stain on the concrete was probably cleaned up months ago. The storage unit has been rented by someone else, filled with someone else's life. I don't live there anymore. I live here, in a small office above a bakery, with a dog at my feet and a window that faces the sun. And for the first time in years, I think that's enough.